back to the Swearwolves. I'm Bret.
I'm David.
David,
Yes, sir.
how are you, my friend?
I am fantastically well. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Recently, I had a rug in my
Like a
office
toupee?
here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I recently grew hair back. No, I had a rug in my office here. You saw it, and it was like the horror sticker that goes on like VHS
Right.
things that we remember. And I had that rug, and something happened to it, and it got destroyed.
No.
I know, so I had to order a new one. So I'm getting a new one of those, but I wanted to give a shout out to Creepy Company. That's where I ordered it from, creepycompany.com, and they have really cool stuff on there. And they're not giving me any sort of discount for saying this, so I just like the products. But I got. Have you ever ordered from them?
I haven't, but I've seen some of their stuff. It looks cool.
Yeah, I also got this throw pillow because I got this like throw fleece blanket over here that's like the VHS art for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll just throw in an extra thing, and it was this throw pillow, and on one side is like the butcher Leatherface mask, and on the other side is the pretty lady Leatherface mask.
Which
So
one
I
do you
thought
think
that
you're going to have facing outwards to greet you when you come up
Just-
to your couch?
It just depends on what mood I'm
You're
in.
pretty lady, like, ooh, who's this?
Yeah, if I'm feeling
hello
sexy,
there.
I'll put pretty lady out. So I just got that. Oh, you know another thing I ordered from Fright Rags. I know you order from Fright Rags quite a bit, but
Most of my wardrobe is from Fright Rags.
I saw
This hat I'm wearing is from Fright Rags.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I saw they just released like some E.T. shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my wife's favorite movie. So I ordered some shirts for her, and I ordered a shirt for myself. So in the near future, I will be wearing an E.T. shirt on one of these video podcasts. But
What are you wearing right now? Is that the Prowler?
this is the Prowler. I believe this is Gutter Garbs.
Yeah, nice.
The Prowler. You can see.
I'm wearing a Mad Monster shirt because we just got back from Mad Monster.
That is correct. We did just get back from Mad Monster a week ago. So last week we didn't have time to throw in our update, but our kind of synopsis, wrap-up, breakdown of the Mad Monster show. But I think we're going to do that right here. David, what do you think?
Shit. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's throw that in. So why don't we throw this to past Bret and David, but future Bret and David. This is a really weird time conundrum we're in right now because it's future versions of us, but then when people hear this, it'll be past versions of us. So we always say that
it's actually very scientific.
Yeah, and we always say that the future versions of us are the best versions. So right now, we are the future versions of us right now. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, my brain just exploded.
So why don't we have those assholes take it over?
Take it away, you fuckers.
All right. Thank you, past Bret and David. You guys, you sexy beasts. You.
Sexy little bitches.
They are, aren't
God
they?
damn.
And they're future Bret and David, but they're still past Bret and David. It's complicated. I think I explained that in the podcast, how complicated it is.
That ass on past me.
David,
Yes, Bret.
we are here together.
Yay.
We're in Glendale, Arizona,
Yeah.
home of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Their stadium's right next
and the
to us.
Coyotes.
And the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
And David, it's your home too?
I live here, yes. This is where I reside. In this hotel.
Yeah. I do not. I flew in on Friday. Boy.
You had quite the ordeal.
I left my house at, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, got my shit together, got cleaned up, got dressed, all that kind of good stuff, had a cup of coffee, left my house at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is Pennsylvania time, mind you, which wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Here, your Arizona time is midnight.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to the airport, get on my first plane. Everything's glorious. Everything's glorious. Leave Pennsylvania, have to lay over in Chicago. Chi-town.
O'Hare or Midway?
O'Hare.
Oh.
Fuck Midway. Losers go to Midway. Winners go to O'Hare.
Go to O'Hare? Yeah.
Yeah, because guess what, David? This winner right here, he was first class. First class seat from
Fucking
Chicago.
Bougie motherfucker, you.
Pennsylvania made me bougie.
God, fancy. Mr. Fancy Pants over here. I'm going to fly first class.
First class from Chicago to Phoenix, please.
Into Phoenix, Arizona. It's in the desert. It's very dry.
Those plebes down there, I will entertain them for the weekend.
Dakota first class.
I was in first class.
You couldn't even call it class.
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 First class. They got DirecTV on the flight. I'm watching Wimbledon. I felt like a fucking yuppie son of a bitch because I'm sitting in first
Watching
class.
tennis.
They're like serving me drinks and fucking food and shit. I'm watching tennis.
Excuse me, Monroe. Could you bring me another beverage?
She's like, my name's Helen.
Yeah, exactly. My name's Tina. I'm
fuck
from
off.
Albuquerque. All right. Sorry.
Well, regardless.
Nevertheless.
So we're sitting there on the tarmac and the plane's not moving.
That's not a good sign.
And then it moves a little bit and then it stops moving.
Did the plane go?
No, the pilot comes on. He's like, we're looking in some stuff.
Could you smell fire?
No.
That's good.
Apparently the fuel injector or some shit like that. I don't know. It's all complicated stuff, David. I think the fuel injector. He's like, we have two of them, but one of them's coming up that it's not working.
Yeah, like we could take a gamble and fly with one, but maybe we'll err on the side of caution.
He's like, so we're going to try to fix it. And if we can't fix it, we might have to have you deboard the plane. And then we'll find you a new plane.
Yeah.
Long story short.
Plan B?
An hour layover turned into over 3 hour layover.
That sucks.
So I was supposed to land here in Phoenix at about 11 a.m. and you were going to pick me up from the airport. It ended up being about 1 p.m.
Yeah, you kept texting me. You're like, no,
I haven't left
waiting,
yet.
Still waiting. I was like, oh, I've accomplished like a whole day's worth of activities over here. All right, what else can I do?
So yeah. Anyway, finally took off, landed here. You picked me up at the airport.
Yep, and it was fucking hot as shit.
Oh my God.
So I'm sorry, my car was full blast AC, but it was still gross. By the time we got to the hotel, like you could see through my shorts.
Oh yeah, the sweat beads.
Yep, and you could see, everything. Good thing I wasn't wearing white. Good thing I wasn't wearing white, and I decided to wear undergarments.
It kind of worked out good that.
Yeah, timing wise, it was still good.
Timing wise, I think.
Otherwise,
we'd
we'd just been sitting around all day.
Yeah, we would have been pulling our putt all afternoon.
I made time for that. Always do.
But we got to the hotel, checked in, went down to the bar, had a drink. Just kind of
people
watch, talk to some people. I don't know.
Yeah,
random folks.
Point at people like, oh, there's so and so. Oh, that's Nick Castle walking by. Oh, don't look too close. Don't let him see us. He's scared by movement.
Hey, when I was on the airplane flying out here, you can watch movies. And so I decided I was going to watch a movie that I hadn't seen yet, but you've seen it. So I want to talk about this real quick. We're not going to rate this movie. I don't give a fuck that much about it. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
You seen this?
I have. I don't remember it all that well, but I did see it.
Okay. It's a sequel to Ghostbusters.
Yes.
They don't even acknowledge the events of part 2, though. Really?
Do they not? I don't remember.
Not really. I wish they would have more.
Yeah. Talk about the Statue of Liberty and shit and Bobby Brown.
Yeah. I guess we're gonna have to take control. Gotta take control. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is in it.
Sexiest man alive.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. People's sexiest man alive. The people have voted, David.
Yep. It's Paul Rudd. It wasn't us.
Could the Swearwolves become the sexiest man alive? Like just us together?
Like a mashup of our faces and our penises? Yeah, maybe.
Is that what they judge it on?
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't think penis plays any part into that. But
subliminally.
Paul Rudd. Okay, so this is gonna be a spoiler. Like if you haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, like I don't think you care.
It's been a while. You've had
if you haven't seen it by now, you don't care that I spoiled this.
No.
And it's not even really a spoiler, but like, okay, it's basically mirrors the original towards like the end.
Yeah, pretty close.
Because like, Vigo or
Gozer?
Gozer, the Gozerian.
Yeah.
Vigo's from the second one. they don't talk about Vigo.
Yeah.
Gozer, the Gozerian, wants to come back and needs to have the keymaster and the gatekeeper, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing that happens to Dana, Sigourney Weaver's character, happens to the Egon's daughter.
Right.
And who's the mom of the kid from Stranger Things and this girl. And she's like just starting a relationship with Paul Rudd. And so Paul Rudd turns into the keymaster, though. He's kind of like the Harold Ramis / Bill Murray
or the or the
not Harold
Rick,
Ramis,
the Rick
Moranis.
Right.
Thank you. The Rick Moranis / Bill Murray role, because all in one.
Right.
He turns into the
fucking keymaster.
The keymaster, and she's the gatekeeper, or vice versa. Whichever is whichever. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Ghostbusters Afterlife, that happens, and they meet up, and they're like, "Look, in order to get Gozer, they have to fuck," is what it's implied. Okay,
that's hot.
And then as soon as they get together, because that's what they say, like they have to get together. And
Sexiest
like,
man alive. Yeah.
As soon as they get together, that's when Gozer comes. Like when they come, Gozer comes. All three are coming at the same time. It's a glorious moment.
It's a real orgy.
Yep. Okay, that happens. And I'm watching. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then a light bulb goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Moranis fucks Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, man.
Those are the rules.
Yeah, I guess he banged her. Good for you, Rick. Good on you.
They never discussed that. And guess what?
Fucking Lewis
fucks Dana.
Wow.
They never discuss it. But guess what? Paul Rudd in this movie remembers it because he says to the mom afterwards, after they wake up, like, okay, this is the spoiler. Everybody, happy ending. When they wake up, he goes, well, I guess back there, I know we were turning into dogs, but, we had a moment right before then.
Fucking doggy style.
I guess. Yeah. Where they fucked.
We banged like dogs.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
And she's like, yeah, we did. So they both remember it. So Sigourney Weaver. So here's my theory.
He's
Oscar's dad is Rick Moranis.
Oh, shit. Was Paul Rudd just to be clear, I don't have a dog dick in real life if you still want to bang me in real life.
It looks just like a lipstick.
Yeah, it's not lipstick.
It was before they turned into the dogs that they banged, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Once they fucked and they came, then they turned into dogs.
Once they ejaculated,
yeah. So that was my. Did you didn't get that? Was it just me?
I don't remember. Like I said, I saw it shortly after it came out, and it was one of those I watched really late at night.
I would like to know, anybody out there who's seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, if you had the same thoughts that I do.
Yeah, detail the sex.
Please let me know, because I don't think I'm off base here by saying that Rick Moranis fucked Sigourney Weaver and now is the father of Oscar. That's Jason Reitman made that true.
There you go. It's canon.
It's canon now.
Did you like it, the movie?
Yeah, it was all right.
That's kind of how I felt. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But
yeah,
it was.
I didn't hate it.
It was good.
I will say this. Can I? This is a little. Maybe this is a. What do they call that when you have like an opinion that maybe not
a hot take?
Hot take. Here's Brett's hot take.
Ooh.
I didn't like it any better than I liked the Ghostbusters all female cast one.
See, I liked it better than that one.
I didn't. I liked the Ghostbusters all female cast one. Just fine.
The women were okay.
Would my life have been the same if I hadn't seen either one of those? Yes, it would have been. But I saw both of them, and my life is not worse.
Yeah, my childhood is still intact. It didn't.
It
wasn't ruined. That's the worst.
I
you
fucking
ruined
hate
my
people.
childhood. Fuck you.
I fucking hate people, dude.
Well, your childhood's over.
Yeah, your childhood's
You're
over.
an
You know what
adult
ruined
now.
your childhood? Not being a kid anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Time.
An asshole. Yeah, Father Time. You want to be pissed off at somebody? Be pissed off at nature. Father Time and Mother Nature. They
be mad
fucked
at
you.
yourself.
They fucked you and you all came at the same time.
Yep, and then Gozer came and fucking destroyed your dreams.
Yep, with his dog dick.
With his fucking lipstick.
It's
cock.
dog dick. I don't think Gozer has a pronoun.
No,
It's just an it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that happened. That's what I was thinking of. And I thought, as I was watching that movie, I'm like, well, that's kind of horror-ish.
Yeah.
And I should talk to David about this.
There you go. I'm glad we did.
Got that off my chest. We are at Mad Monster Party, Arizona.
It's happening right now.
We've gone to this. You've gone to this convention more times than I have, but this is like the third year they've had it here at this hotel.
I think so. That sounds right.
And I was telling you yesterday when we got here, first day of the convention, that I love this hotel. I think it's a really nice venue. And I think they should just keep having it here every year.
I hope so. Yeah.
Because it's really close to your house.
It's very close. Yeah, it's like 15, 20 minutes from my house. It's really nice.
The only shitty thing, David, is the exhibit hall. The first day. This happened last year, and this happened this year.
Yep, they can't get their shit together the first night, and it's hot as balls in there.
When we walked into that exhibit hall at 5 o'clock, 5:30, it was about 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was very, very warm. Yeah, as soon as we walked in, it was like, oh, fuck.
Heat,
again.
sweating, and nerds don't mix well.
It's a bad combo. They don't have the best hygiene anyway.
No. But that's the only flaw about this. Other than that, I think everything. And you know what? As disorganized as I thought it was, it ended up being more organized.
Yeah, it was perfectly fine. Everything went pretty smoothly.
Yeah. At first, I was like, this isn't fucking organized.
This is ridiculous. Where's the manager? I demand satisfaction. I'm a VIP.
You know I'm a VIP.
I'm an
Did you guys know that I flew first class here,
Yeah.
right? You do know that I first class. Anybody want to hear my hot take on Ghostbusters?
Nope.
Oh. But we're here at Mad Monster, one of our favorite shows. You know, your hometown show, David.
Yeah.
It's a great show. We got a pretty good lineup this year, and we'll go. Why don't we go through some of the people that we've
go
already
down
met?
the line.
We've met everybody already that we wanted to.
Yeah, unless we meet somebody tonight. Who knows?
That we didn't want to meet.
No, I mean at the RAP party.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, a person we met that we weren't planning on meeting and didn't even know we met.
Yeah, well, that was 2 years ago, right? Yeah.
No, this year. In the elevator.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we're riding up with the elevator, and this couple gets in. An older couple, man and woman. And it's just like, hey, how's it going? And I asked what floor, and they said, we're on floor 5. They said floor 4, and I'm like, okay. And then another 2 women get in.
Yep. They're going down to the lobby, I think. Or
No,
something.
they were coming up to floor 2.
Okay, yeah.
We were at the lobby.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're
right.
like, check your rooms.
Just make sure to look extra close in your room because there's bugs.
We found bugs.
There were insects,
Dead
and
bugs.
arachnids, and various pests.
So we switched rooms.
we demanded.
We're like, okay. They get out, and like
all right, yeah,
the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
who was with the woman and us are just kind of like, we don't have bugs in our room. We don't
whatever.
have bugs in our room.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they just got unlucky, and he's like, yeah, I think you're right. Just very unlucky.
Yeah, they got crabs.
And then floor 4 happened. They get out. They're like, hey, have a good weekend. We're like, hey, you too.
Yeah, you too. See you later.
See you later.
We'll never see you ever again.
Nope.
Have a wonderful life.
Yep.
Bye-bye now.
We're down waiting in line, and I see the couple, and they're going into the exhibit hall before everybody.
Yeah, it hadn't opened yet. We're like, what the fuck? Are they vendors or something?
I was like, no, they're not vendors. I look, it's fucking Don Gibb, who plays fucking Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds. That's what everybody's going to remember him for.
Yeah,
Or the
that
guy
in Bloodsport.
from Bloodsport. Fucking that motherfucker. Or he played like a Viking in like Capital One commercial.
Oh, did
like
he?
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That motherfucker was like standing right next to us. Like we talked to him. I didn't recognize him at all.
No, he looked a lot different.
But now that I see him,
Well, now you can see it.
and
Like,
now I'm like, oh yeah.
but he had long hair. He had a ponytail. He was wearing a hat. Like, it was tough.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was him in there.
Yeah. Him and his wife.
Yep.
Anyway. Okay. That's the one person we met that we didn't really
Weren't
wanna
expecting.
meet.
Yeah.
Well, not that I didn't want to meet him.
Yeah,
But I
just-
wasn't going to pay to meet
It
him.
wasn't on the list.
Yeah, it wasn't on the list. But we did have other people on the list, David.
Yes, quite a few.
Who do we got?
I think the first person we met was Ken Foray, who we've met before from Dawn of the Dead. We had him sign some stuff, and he was really nice. He just kind of talked to us about like the poster that we had, and it was a folded one. He's like, "Oh, you should probably roll that." And I'm like, "Oh, we know. Tom Savini told us all about it." He's like, "All right, that's
Tom
good."
Savini told us the same thing.
Yeah, he's like, "You got to roll it. Protect that poster."
Yeah, and he was like, where are you all from? And I said that I live in Pennsylvania. He's like, oh, say hi to everybody in Pennsylvania for me. I was like, okay.
I will. Every single one of them, Mr. Foray.
So Pennsylvania, Ken Foray says hi.
Yeah.
But he and Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton were all in the movie
From Beyond.
From Beyond. Yes.
Yeah, and they were all right next to each other
They're
as
all
far as
right
the tables.
next to each other. So we both got all 3 of them like right.
Pretty
one
much right away,
after
yeah.
each other. But Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton weren't there quite yet.
Yeah, so we went over and talked to Robert Russler from
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
He was Grady in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And it was kind of weird because like we went up to him and we talked to him real quick and got his autograph, and then he didn't really say anything.
Yeah, he wasn't super talkative, so we're like, okay, well, whatever.
That's cool.
Not
Sometimes
everybody,
they're talkative,
sometimes they're not. Yeah, he was nice though.
He was very nice. After that, though, we went over to Barbara Crampton.
Got her. Super nice. We met her
Always
before.
nice.
Every time, always a pleasure. Super, super cool.
Yeah. So tell what happened, David.
So she's signing our stuff, and I think she was like, where do you live or something. We're just kind of making small talk, and then she was like,
She asked, like, do you collect or
yes,
resell
that's what it
or
was.
something like that?
Yeah, we're like, no, we're collectors. So this stuff that we're having you sign, it's for our own collection.
Yeah,
And then
we're
we're like,
fans.
we actually, not only are we fans, we do a podcast. And she's like, oh, what's your podcast called? And we're like, oh, it's the Swearwolves. And she kind of paused for a second, and she looked at my hat, and she's like, Swearwolves. Oh my God. She's like, I was supposed to be on your podcast at one point, wasn't I? And I was like, yes. And we've actually never talked about this on the show.
No.
But a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
It was like
a
3
while
years
ago.
ago.
We had been DMing back and forth with Barbara Crampton because we follow each other on Twitter about having her come on. And we had this idea for a segment. And we're starting to make plans, and she was into it. And then I think it was while she was working on Castle Freak.
Yeah, the remake of
She
Castle
had to
Freak.
fly overseas, and she's like, I'm actually going to be out of the country for a bit. I'll reach back out to you when I get back.
And then I think when she came back, that's when Jacob's wife was also getting released.
she
and
just
that
had
was
a
lot
ton of stuff
press
going
and-
on.
Yeah.
And you and I had talked about it at the time, and we kind of went back and forth on like, do we reach back out to her? Like, and we're just like, let's let it go. Not a huge deal. If we ever get the opportunity, we would love to do it, but I don't want to push.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. And she was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. She's like, I still want to do it.
Yeah.
So when you get like after the convention, like DM me again and let's get that going.
Yeah.
So spoiler, we're gonna have Barbara Crampton on the show at some point, hopefully, depending on her schedule, not in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun. So just a sweet woman.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is really awesome. Very nice. Jeffrey Combs was after that. Also very nice. We shared stories about having airplane problems.
Similar
that
travel
day.
problems, yeah.
Yep. So
He was flying out of Burbank, I think he said. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he had all sorts of problems. Did he have to change planes too?
He had to change planes. He had to get off. He had to go to a different gate, just like I did.
Bunch of bullshit.
But
yeah, he was really nice.
that was fine. Deborah Foreman.
Yeah, from
April Fool's
Day.
Yeah. So one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. Definitely one of my favorite horror movies.
See, and I had never seen it until we reviewed it for the podcast, and I loved it. Yeah, that movie was
it's a lot of
fun.
Yeah, Amy Steele and Deborah Foreman, and what's his name? Biff Tannen.
Oh yes, yeah, he's in that
Fucking
too. Thomas F. Wilson,
Thomas F. Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in that.
and she was nice, and she didn't say a whole lot, but she was nice.
Yeah, she didn't say a whole lot either. And then we went down.
After that, Nick Castle had a couple things I wanted to get signed by him that I didn't have the last time we met him, so that was kind of cool.
Always nice.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Yeah. And always has kind of a line going on here, so you can't really talk. Back.
Yeah, we got a lot of Halloween fans, so it's like, okay, you got to kind of move a little quickly.
And then after him was John Kassir, who's the voice of the Crypt Keeper, which is most people know him as.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of other like bit roles in stand-up comedy and improv and stuff like that.
Yeah, he started talking to me about various things that he had done and how he did stand-up with Charles Fleischer because he was signing our Demon Knight one
Yeah,
sheets.
that's how it came up. That's right.
And I said, "Oh, Charles Fleischer signed it." He's like, "Oh, you got Billy Zane and
You got Charlie and
Charles
yeah.
Fleischer." And he goes, "Yeah, me and Charles used to do stand-up together back a long time ago, and at the same time, at the same places." And he's like, "Yeah, back in those days, like Robin Williams would come up on stage," and he was like, "It was crazy,
Dude, that sounds like a blast.
It was awesome."
Yeah,
I
that's way cool.
almost said, "Was there a lot of drugs?" But I decided not
in those
to.
days, yeah, probably. He was really cool though, and I liked how he kept going in and out of the Crypt Keeper voice.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then I brought up something that I think kind of like surprised him. But I was like, "Oh, I wanted to ask you about something." I go, "I was watching something recently on YouTube, and it was the Legend of Zelda commercial from the 80s. I was like, "And that's you in that commercial, isn't it?" And he's like, "Yes, that's me." And he proceeded to tell me and David the story about like how he got the job. He had just won on Star Search, I think he said.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, he'd just been on Star Search. It was either he won
Yeah.
or been on. And they offered him this job to do this Legend of Zelda commercial. And they're like, "Look, here's the game. Watch the game being played and see all the clips, come up with some stuff, and then we'll just film you acting like a maniac." And that's pretty much what he did.
That's awesome.
And then they edited it all together. And you should look up that Legend of Zelda. Have you ever seen that commercial?
I've never seen it. We'll have to watch it right after we
Yeah,
record
we'll watch
this.
it.
Yeah.
But the Legend of Zelda commercial from the 80s, it was like the first, game of that type for the NES.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the most successful NES games.
Oh,
of
by
all
far. Yeah, ever.
But yeah, he like improvised all of that.
Yeah, and then while we're saying that, he started like reciting the commercial.
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
us.
And as we're walking away, he's like, Zelda, Zelda.
Yeah, he was really cool.
So we're on our way back over to, I wanted to get Kane Hodder.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
my
yeah.
NES.
That's right. He was next.
Friday 13th. So NES again. I've talked about this on the podcast already, but
The original box.
The original box. And as we're walking over there, David has a Killer Clowns from Outer Space shirt on.
And it's like a crossover shirt between that and
Halloween
3. Yeah, I think I got it from like Cavity Colors or something.
Yeah. And it's a really cool shirt. And everybody always comments on it. And sometimes people get it, sometimes they don't, but it doesn't matter because people either like Killer Clowns or they like Halloween 3 or they like the fact that it's combined together.
So we're like walking past him and all of a sudden Robert Rustler shouts out, like, and we're probably, 20 feet away?
Yeah.
And he was like, too bad Suzanne Snyder isn't here. And I kind of looked around like, is he talking to me?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's looking at me. And then I think he could tell I was puzzled.
Yeah, and he's like, your shirt.
And then I was like, oh shit. And I looked down at my shirt and I was like, oh, because Suzanne Snyder's in Killer Clowns. And I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, come here.
Yeah.
And then he came over to us.
He started walking over to us and I was walking over to him because I was going to ask him something. And I don't even remember what I was going to ask him because I was like, oh, he just sparked up conversation with me and David, so I can go back over to him. And then he came over to us and he goes, come here to David. And David's like, talking to somebody that works for Mad Monster, and he was like, I'll be right back.
I never did come back.
No, you didn't. But David came over, and Rustler proceeds to tell us the story. And we're not going to do it justice, but
It's fucking hilarious, though.
it was hilarious, and it was hilarious talking to him about it.
And the way he told it was really good.
But it's a story about the first job he ever had, kind of in Hollywood.
As an actor.
Yeah, and he was like 18 years old, and it was him and George Clooney and Grant Kramer, who was in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And they were hired by a Japanese company for a print ad. And what they had to do was drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and it was for Pioneer
stereo systems.
Yeah.
And along the way, there'd be vans of photographers
taking pictures of them driving on this road trip.
Yeah.
Which sounds like the best thing ever. Like,
and they got paid like $12,000.
Yeah,
because I go, how much did you get paid in 1984 for that? If you don't mind me asking. He's like, I don't know, like $12,000. I was like, fucking A. He's like, yeah.
That's a lot of money now, but like 1984 money?
For
Fuck yeah.
3 days worth of work.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And he's 18 years old. I would have thought I was the richest man in the world.
Yeah. And this is before George Clooney was George Clooney. Like,
yeah,
huge
he was
star.
Rosemary Clooney's like nephew or whatever the fuck he is to her. That's all he was.
Yeah. So they're driving across from LA to Vegas or whatever, and he's like, this whole trip, we're driving along. He's like, yeah, the photographers are taking their pictures and stuff. He's like, but what do you do when you're in a car for that long? You just talk and bullshit with each other.
And get to know each other because none of them knew each other at
So
that
like,
time.
so we're talking, and he's like, and Grant Kramer just starts ripping ass and is just farting the entire trip, and it stunk like shit. And we're like, please, you gotta stop. And he's like, oh, but I can fart on command. Like, I've always got like one in the chamber, basically.
Yeah.
And Rustler's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, and pulls his finger and just like on command, he farts.
And then George Clooney's like, what? And he pulls his ear and farts again. So cut to years later, Rustler, who worked with Suzanne Snyder on Weird Science, and Suzanne Snyder was in Killer Clowns, he's talking to her, and he goes, hey, you know that movie you did, that Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie? He's like, I did this thing with Grant Kramer once, and he just farted, busted
like
ass the entire time. And Suzanne Snyder goes, the entire time we were filming Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that's all he fucking did as well.
Farted all fucking day. And he has irritable bowel syndrome.
And so I told Rustler, I said, look, we're going to Horror Hound Weekend in Cincinnati, and
they're both going
to be there. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask Grant Kramer if that story happened.
Just walk up to him and pull his finger. Don't even say anything. Just...
Yeah, Robert Rustler told me that I should pull your finger.
Yeah. What?
So anyway, it was a funny story, and it was a fun moment for us because our original interaction with him wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like, okay.
Short. Yeah.
And I even said something to David afterwards. I'm like, sometimes it can be awkward because it's like you don't know what to say, and they don't know what to say, and you're just kind of like, But as soon as he started talking, and we started talking back to him, like, not talking back to him, talking with him,
yeah,
and conversing with him, it was like, I could have talked to him for another hour because I had questions.
He was very easy.
Questions
to talk
started coming to my head, and I was like, "Oh, fuck.
He's one I hope shows up at the party tonight because I think he'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Just continue to bullshit with.
yeah, that's true."
But then we eventually made our way over to Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder, who was in rare form, because sometimes Kane Hodder, not that he's gruff. He's a little gruff.
He can come across that way.
He's always been nice.
He's got kind of a persona. Like he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But we've met him many times. But he's always nice.
Yeah.
But he was super chatty in a really funny, zany kind of mood.
Yeah, he was just fucking around
Very
with
boisterous.
people and just talking shit to some people. Like some guy who was in front of us handed him a Friday the 13th Part 1 like replica poster, like 11 by 17. And Kane looks at it and he goes, "I wasn't in this fucking movie." He goes, "I wasn't in it until 7.
Hey, come on, man. Get your shit together.
But we got up to him and he was signing some stuff. And then he goes, he signed my NES cartridge. He goes, "Oh, the old video game." He goes, "Do you like the new video game?" And we're like,
"Do we? We play it all the time."
Yeah, we loved it. And we can't wait for Texas Chainsaw Massacre because he's
going to do the motion capture for Leatherface.
and already has done a lot of it. And he told us, he goes, "In fact, next week I'm going from here, my Mad Monster, to do
More motion capture stuff for the game."
And he goes, "And I love the company that puts it together."
Yep, it's Gun, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they're awesome. And he goes, "I just love doing it." So he's doing more mocap for TCM.
And he said he
the game.
really loves the Friday the 13th game too.
Yeah, and then we all agreed that it sucked that there's the lawsuit because he goes, "There's tons of shit that
Just never made it into
they
the game.
couldn't even release," which is probably like the boat
Yeah, all the cool shit from Part 8.
Part 8,
Yeah.
and then the stuff from Part 10 that they never released. So,
Oh, that would have been cool. Oh well.
oh well,
Maybe someday, but
probably not.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And then, like, as we were kind of walking away, he I can't remember how he brought up like
said
that he's
something.
done like lots of other credits because we were just kind of talking about his various roles, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm in a bunch of episodes of like Days of Our Lives, like just as a stuntman." He's like, "I'm in an episode of Seinfeld where I played a mugger," and we're like, "What?" And then that got Brett remembering when we did the alligator episode because I think you even said at the time like, "We need to ask him about this the next time we see it." So you
Yes.
were like, "Kane, we were looking through IMDb and we were talking about the movie Alligator. You're credited as the alligator."
And he just started laughing.
And we're like, "Is this true?" And he like kind of paused. He's like, "Yeah, kinda." He's like, I'm in like one scene. I'm in the rubber alligator costume, just kind of working the. And I think he even said he's like the jaws, the mandibles, or whatever the hell you call it. He's like, "Yeah, but yeah, I was in there.
Yeah, he goes, "It's in one scene."
It was awesome."
Yeah, so that was cool. After that, David has Rob Zombie Halloween.
Yeah,
Poster
posted
that
the
has a
sign by. I
bunch of-
got a shit ton of people on it, but and we had met Danny Trejo before, but I didn't have him on there, so I was like, "All right, I got to get Trejo." So we got in his line.
We got him. He was really busy though.
That was
So-
the first time. Oh no, Kane Hodder was the first one where we actually used our VIP status to get to the front of the line.
Yeah.
So we did that with Trejo too. We're like, "Sorry,
because they have long lines. And it's
Sorry,
like,
folks.
"Oh, yeah.
squeezing in here."
Do you know what we are?
We're VIPs. Show our little Wayne's World backstage pass. He bypassed this line. And he, I was fine with the interaction. It was very, very short, and he was nice, and he shook my hand and everything. But we didn't talk a whole lot. But I got to talk to him a lot during the last time I met him.
Yeah, and this morning when he was going to get breakfast,
yeah.
he walked by us and he's like, "Hey guys," and he like
He
gave us fist bumps. So.
That's right. While we were sitting there.
But Trejo is almost 80 years old,
That's insane. He's 78 years old. It's
and
nuts.
he doesn't act or look like it.
No. He's very spry.
He's very, very spry and very with it. I guess he doesn't
Very
act or look
quick-witted.
like what.
What you would picture a typical 78-year-old man looking or acting like? Yeah.
Maybe when I was a kid, that's what I pictured. Like,
Yeah. No, not like that at all.
no.
Tons of energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really cool.
Yeah, he was really cool.
That was it for last night, I think, as far as the guests that we met.
Yeah, and then we just kind of hung out. Oh, we went to, so like David said, and I think I said earlier, we bought the VIP tickets because we just decided to do that.
Yeah. There's perks.
There's perks
and it's
to it.
and it's worth it to us.
Yeah. So there's a special lounge that you can go to if you're the VIPs, and it's kind of nice just to be able to go in there and just sit down and
It's
hang
quiet.
out. And they provide free bottled water, and
They got like horror cartoons playing. Yeah, snacks.
snacks and like nuts and candy and
Cookies
I don't
and
know,
all
Nutter
sorts of
Butters.
shit. Yeah, I'm gonna eat those Nutter Butters after we record. I'm sitting over here.
But we're walking into there and we hear from behind us someone go, "Hey, are you guys the Swearwolves?"
I'm like, yes.
And at first I was like, "Huh?"
Me?
I turn around and I was like, "We're going to recognize this person." And no,
We didn't. It was a listener.
it was a listener that we had never met before, never really interacted with online before.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm a fan."
Yeah, it was cool.
And we're like, I go, "Oh," and David goes, "I'm David." And I go, "I'm Brett." "David, how are you?"
Yes, Brett, I'm doing good. How are you? Yeah, we went right into our bit.
We were right into a bit and she laughed and then we talked about stuff and she's like, "I just started listening a year ago, but I've listened to all the old stuff and now the new stuff and da 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 da."
She was super nice.
Super
It
nice.
was really cool.
So
And we saw her again this morning, and
this afternoon we've seen her.
yeah,
a
we
few
saw her
times.
again. Gave her some Swearwolves stickers.
Yep.
So if you ever see us at a show, please say hi. We really like talking to people.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And,
We
if, we ha-
talked to
and if
her-
we have shit on us, we'll give you free shit.
We talked to her for about 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
It was very nice, very pleasant.
super nice. So if you're listening, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, it was.
And then today,
I
go
did
ahead.
want to touch on something.
A real sensitive topic.
Real
Let's get
sensitive
serious
topic.
for a second. Yeah.
Remember how I said that I woke up at 3:00 in the morning, Pennsylvania time,
Mm-hmm.
which was midnight Arizona time. We went to bed at 11 o'clock Arizona time. I was up for 23 hours straight.
It's ridiculous.
I was so fucking tired.
Yeah, we both crashed pretty fast, but yeah, you especially. You're running on fumes.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. In fact, I think
You gonna take a little nap?
I might take a little nappy while you're eating your Nutter Butters.
I'll tuck you in.
Oh.
Do you want me to sing to you before you go to bed?
Yeah, give me some warm milk.
Sing you a Bobby Brown song from Ghostbusters.
I guess we're gonna.
But I'll do it a little better. All on our own, Brett. Please stop.
Nighty night. Brett.
And then today we got up and we're like, all right. We kind of farted around in the lobby for a bit. And we're like, all right, let's go.
We watched tennis.
We did. We watched Wimbledon. It was fun. And
We
then
got into it.
yeah, we did. We watched the men's finals.
The women's finals.
Oh, the women's final. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
it was the men's double finals and the women's single
That's
finals.
right. Yeah, it was very good.
Come on, David, get with
Get-
it.
get
I had to
your-
explain
get your- get
tennis
your
to
shit
David.
together.
I'm an expert at tennis, but
Explained
I'm
all
not.
the scoring and everything. Now I'm a pro.
It's like every 4 years I'm an expert bobsledder because I watch bobsledding.
Yeah.
I'm like, what they need to do is
And see, the big difference between this and the luge. And if you want to know about the skeleton,
But I
we
have
can
been
talk about
watching
that
a shit ton of Wimbledon. Like I'll
Yeah.
turn it on during the day when I'm working.
too. Yeah, just watch
And-
it.
I'll watch it. I get into it.
Do you, are you like motioning along? You're like,
No, but I do go. Oh,
and then so today I had a Nev Campbell, or actually I have a Scream score on vinyl, and we met Nev Campbell. We talked about it at our Texas Frightmare episode.
but just to recap,
Yeah,
that,
just for those catching up, we waited in Nev Campbell's line for about 6 or 7 hours or so.
between 6 and 8 hours.
Yeah, it was a long, long day. In fact, we were two of the very last people to get her autograph and photo with her
Yeah.
that night.
At Texas Frightmare.
After a very long, and it was after the hall had already closed. Like she stayed afterwards to get everybody. So it was a very long day. So today I was like, well, I want to get this score signed by her, but because we have VIP, the line, it shouldn't take that long to get her. So
And we got into the hall early.
yeah. So we lined up to get into the hall, and there were already like maybe 10 or 20 people in front of us. They're like, oh, worst case scenario, if all these people are going to Nev Campbell, all right, we'll be like 20 people deep. No big deal. That'll go nice and fast. So the doors open, and then immediately those people who were all in front of us all started going down other aisles, like going to vendors and stuff. And you and I just literally walked right up to Nev Campbell and were the very first people in line.
Yeah, she wasn't at the table yet, so we
Yeah.
did have to wait a few minutes.
Yeah, but it was still awesome. It was the exact opposite of what happened last time.
And we even told her that.
Yeah,
And
we're like, yeah.
she enjoyed that story.
And she was super nice and signed my record
Yeah.
in red. It looks awesome.
It does look awesome.
Well, signed the cover, not the
yeah,
record
not the
itself.
album itself. It's the
jacket.
jacket.
Looks nice.
Yeah. So other than that, we ran into our friends from since the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Amanda. I think she listens. I don't know if she listens. I think she does.
Yeah. So, but if not,
But she's in town from Los Angeles with her boyfriend and her friend, and they have like a little vending booth where they sell like she sells like old toys and like I don't know collectible shit.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool shit.
There's something I've been eyeballing that I might grab maybe tonight before we leave. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then just walked around and kind of looked at the vendors. We both got iPhone cases.
Yeah.
And they plug in, like, it's really weird. It plugs into, like, the power of your phone, and they light up, but only, like, when your screen is illuminated and it's sound activated, so, like, flashes different colors. It's awesome. I got a Ghostface one, and you got a Freddy one.
Yeah, and I think I want to go back and get the
I might get another
Jason one.
Yeah.
Oh, they were only $15.
$15. That's a great deal. They look cool.
They do look cool. I agree with you, David.
Yes.
And there's other stuff we hem and haw about. David and I are the worst shoppers. Never go shopping with David and myself because we're just like, we pick up stuff. We like piss off a lot of vendors probably because it's like, oh yeah,
You gonna buy this?
I did buy some comic books from this guy, and I'm gonna read them because they're comic books, and that's kind of my.
I'm gonna read them
speed.
right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna read them right now. Oh, look at this. But I bought this comic books called Cover of Darkness, and the way the guy described it. It sounded fucking awesome.
Yeah, he had a really good sales pitch.
He did. So I hope it's good.
Yeah.
The artwork is good.
It looks cool.
And it's basically the Universal Monsters meets Game of Thrones is what he said.
Yeah, and it has like kind of their origin stories, but then mixed with like
mythology and shit like that.
It sounded really interesting.
Yeah, like Creature from the Black Lagoon is the spawn of
Poseidon banged
No, not Poseidon. A pirate banged a
banged a
mermaid,
mermaid.
and Poseidon got pissed off.
and like, yeah.
Banished him from Atlantis or something. I don't know.
I think Gozer was involved as a gatekeeper, the keymaster.
Yeah, they turned into dogs.
Very complex.
It's a complex thing.
There's lipstick involved.
I'm going to read it. David said he might buy it. Might buy the set. It's just a 6-issue arc, so it shouldn't take too long. But I'm going to read it, and maybe I'll give an update or review. If you read it, we can talk about it.
Cool.
But it's pretty cool. Like, the artwork's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
He said the guy who drew the covers for these is the guy who does Batman artwork. I don't know. But the inside artwork is done by somebody else.
Yeah, just the cover art.
Just the cover art. But the inside artwork was just as good. And other than that, I don't know.
I think that's it.
I bought my daughter a bracelet,
an
amethyst bracelet, because her birthday's coming up. It's actually passed by the time this comes up. Yeah, I know.
I bought my wife nothing.
I bought my wife something because I'm gonna go down and buy it for her.
Oh, I'm probably still gonna buy my wife nothing. We'll see. Yeah. She doesn't listen to this.
No, she doesn't. That's about it. I don't know. We're going to a party. There's a party tonight. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So hopefully some of the guests will wander in, and
if there's not, we can just hang out, be the coolest guys in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like two Arthur Fonzarellis walk into a room when we walk into these horror conventions.
The record scratches like, oh
shit.
What have we here?
Oh, wait for them to do something, guys, because whatever they do is the coolest.
And it won't take long. They'll do something any second now. They always do.
Oh, shit. That's it.
That's all I got.
That's all I got, too. I leave tomorrow morning. Tear
comes
from David's eye. David's taking me to the airport in the morning. Heading back home.
Yeah.
Another long-ass day.
I'm just going to drive
20
minutes or so back to my house. Probably go to bed.
All right. Well, that's our Mad Monster recap.
Yeah, another good show. Well done, Mad Monster.
Well done, Mad Monster. Well done indeed.
We'll see you next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up. Turn the air conditioning on before the hall opens.
Yeah, the rest of today better go swimmingly or it's your ass.
All right. So back to past Bret and David. Those assholes.
Yeah, fuckers, take it away.
Wow, David. That sounded wonderful.
Great job, us.
I'm sure we had a great time. I don't know how I'm going to do that in the video. Maybe I'll just, I don't know what I'm going to do because it'll just be audio. We're not going to do a video, are we?
No. I get. Oh, we could.
I guess I could bring my.
Or just we could just have like still shots or something inserted.
That means I got to take photos, and I'm the worst at taking photos. I just got back from Philadelphia with my family. And we went around to different landmarks, and I took like one photo.
That's me. I'm that guy too.
And that was of a cheesesteak.
I could bring the camera if you want.
Nah, don't worry about it. I mean, if we want to video record, I will have my phone.
Okay.
And I can just record it on that.
Whatever.
But whatever. By the way, Philadelphia, fucking awesome. Shout out to
Yeah.
Philadelphia. It's a great city.
I'm excited
People
to
were
see
nice.
it at night. Like that. By the time I get there, it'll be nighttime.
Yeah, it'll be later, but it'll be good. It's just a really cool city. Really cool architecture. Nice people are there. It's got some really like historical areas, but also it has Philly cheesesteaks.
Was the
and
cheesesteak delicious? I do love a good
was-
Philly cheesesteak.
It was delicious. I ate the rest of it yesterday. So I had it on Friday, and then I saved half of it, and I ate the rest of it yesterday.
Nice.
It was fucking good. We're not here to talk about Philly cheesesteaks. We already talked about Mad Monster. David, we need to talk about a movie. What movie did you pick for this week?
Dude, I picked Beetlejuice. This is a movie like I've kind of been wanting to do for a long time. I know it's not quite a horror movie, but you'd be hard pressed to find a horror fan that doesn't like Beetlejuice. You go to any Spirit Halloween store, like around Halloween, you're gonna find Beetlejuice shit everywhere.
Yeah. And you actually have a couple Beetlejuice things, don't you? From Spirit?
I do. I've got like the Beetlejuice, like the sign that's like pointing at his grave. I've got
Yeah.
one of those hanging up.
Yeah. Do you have the tombstone?
I do. Yeah, and it lights up and everything.
Yeah.
And I have that for Halloween. Yeah, I got a few Beetlejuice items.
I got a few Beetlejuice items too. I have the like the little tiny heads of Adam and Barbara when they're like transformed.
When their faces are all stretched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are kind of cute.
I got a sandworm. It's my dick.
It just opens up and another dick comes out.
And another dick comes out. It's odd. Is what it is.
Well, yeah, we're gonna talk
It's a
about.
deformity, actually.
Yeah, it's odd because it's gross. We're gonna talk about Beetlejuice.
Showtime. Oh, yeah, here I come, baby.
He's guaranteed to put some life
Attention, keyboard shoppers.
in your afterlife. Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
I'm the ghost with the most, baby.
Beetlejuice was released in 1988. Did you see this in the theater?
I did. I saw it at the drive-in.
Oh, nice. I did not see this
Yeah.
in the theater. This was not a movie on my radar in 1988 until it came out on VHS.
Okay.
And then I saw it. But this movie was released March 30th, 1988. What was the number one movie in the theater that week, David?
This movie was a big hit, so I'm going to go with Beetlejuice.
You are correct. Now,
Yes.
can you go 2 for 2?
No.
Can you go a 2 for here? The number one song the week of March 30th, 1988 was?
I'm going with One More Try by George Michael.
Oh, no, but that fucking
One
song,
more
that's a
try.
good song.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that fucking
I
album,
didn't know how much I loved you.
that fucking album, that George Michael album, Faith, I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's a good fucking album.
Had some good stuff on there. Not the number one song, though.
R.I.P. No, another person who's now no longer with us, but also, probably better than George Michael.
Whitney Houston.
No, his name starts with Michael.
Oh, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. Oh,
Oh, okay.
song.
Good song. Gonna make a change. Gonna make a difference.
Gonna make it right. And we all know how I feel about fucking Bad. I think it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
his best
favorite.
album. But Man in the Mirror, probably his best song,
Mm,
in my opinion.
All right. Agree to disagree, but it's a good song. I'll
I'm
give
not
it that.
agreeing to disagree. I'm going to disagree to disagree.
I disagree to disagree.
I'm going to agree that you should agree with me. What is better
No.
than better than Man in the Mirror?
Man in the Mirror is cheesy as shit, but
Get
it's a
the
good
fuck
song.
out of here. Get the fuck out of here. It's not
And
cheesy.
it's a ballad. If I want to pick a Michael Jackson song, I'm going to pick a banger.
What?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Beat It. That's a good one.
It's good, but it's no Man in the Mirror. I will give this.
Beat It's got Eddie Van Halen on guitar.
Fuck, whatever. The song Thriller is a good song.
It is.
And Thriller has good songs. Beat It's a good song. But Man in the Mirror, that's a song that you need to listen to if you're going to
Speaks
make a
to your
change.
soul.
You're going to make a change, David, and we need to make a change in this world
There you go.
for the children. We got to do it
children.
for the children.
All the children.
So Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson was the number one song. Of course it was, because like that's when Bad came out, and that was like
Yep.
a fucking awesome album. But Beetlejuice was written by Michael McDowell and Warren Scarron. Scarron?
I
Scarron?
think it's scaring.
Scarron. Warren Scarron. Writing a horror movie. Good job, Warren Scarron. Directed, of course, by Tim Burton, with music by, of course, Danny Elfman. Those two, I don't think Tim Burton's done a movie without Danny Elfman scoring it, has he?
He did, yeah. Ed Wood was Howard Shore.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, Danny Elfman and Tim Burton had a brief falling out, but they
Why?
were friends again.
What happened?
I think it had
Spill
to do
the
with
tea.
Nightmare Before Christmas and the way Danny Elfman was credited. I might be remembering this wrong, but I feel like Danny Elfman felt that like his contributions were so much contributed to the story that he should have received like a writing credit, something like that.
Well, he wrote all the songs.
I might have made that up, but something like that.
Danny Elfman did write all the songs, and
Yes.
the songs are a big portion of that fucking movie. So,
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
like music and lyrics by Danny Elfman. I mean, that's kind of
covers it.
that kind of covers it. I don't know if he deserves
Didn't
screenwriting.
write the dialogue. Like I said, that might not be the story, but I know they had a brief falling out.
Well, they're
But
back
I think
together.
I think Ed Wood is the only movie. There might be another one, but I think that's the only one not with Elfman.
Well, I like Tim Burton. I like his films. I like
Yeah.
Danny Elfman. I like his music. So I'm glad they're friends again, or at least working
Agreed.
relationship. This movie stars Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, Alec Baldwin as Adam. Is it Maitland?
Yeah, Maitland.
Gina Davis as Barbara Maitland. We got Jeffrey Jones as Charles Dietz, Catherine O'Hara as Delia Dietz, and Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz. There's also Sylvia Sidney as Juno, Robert Goulet as Maxie, Dean,
Robert Goulet.
R.I.P. passed away.
Yeah.
Dick Cavett as Bernard, and Glenn Shaddix as Otho. Runtime for this movie was 92 minutes with a budget of $15 million. What do you think the box office was on this?
I'll go like 75.
Jesus Christ, 74.2, David.
Ooh,
you're
that's
hitting
close.
You're hitting on all
Nice.
cylinders today. If you would have just guessed the fucking greatest Michael Jackson song as the number one song,
damn
you would
it.
have fucking won. I don't know what you would have won, but Jeffrey Jones. A lot of controversy around this guy. He was in
Yeah.
a shit ton of movies when I was growing up. He was
Tons of
in
stuff.
Ferris
yeah.
Bueller's Day Off. He was in Amadeus. This movie, obviously, a lot of Tim Burton films, and then not so much anymore.
No.
Got caught with like pornography, and not the good kind.
Something. Yeah. Something bad happened.
Yeah.
It's gross.
But what are you gonna do? Catherine O'Hara is in this. Catherine O'Hara is fucking awesome. My wife loves Catherine O'Hara. Primarily,
she's great and everything.
I mean, she's great and everything, but primarily these days from that fucking show,
Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek, yeah.
Yeah, fucking hilarious.
Winona Ryder. This is an early Winona Ryder film. I believe it
This has got to be
predates.
one of her first.
I believe it
if not her
predates
first.
Heathers.
It does.
But this was like the movie that made her kind of like a star.
Yeah, put her on the map.
Yeah. Winona Ryder was in Lucas as like her early film, first film, but this was like her first like starring role. Like this is
Gotcha.
Winona Ryder's like breakthrough performance, and then of course the next year was Heather's. But this started her relationship then with Tim Burton. Ultimately led to her relationship with Johnny Depp.
That's right.
Because they started Edward Scissorhands in 1990 together. So, anyway. And then Robert Goulet, obviously, Dick Cavett. Glenn Shaddix, that guy, Otho.
Yeah.
He's pretty
He's,
fucking awesome.
He's also the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep. He's no longer with us.
No, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. This was a breakthrough, I think, performance for Michael Keaton, too. Like, he had done Mr. Mom and some other shit, but I feel like this role and then subsequently his Batman role.
Kind of took it to the next level.
Yeah, because he's a comedic actor in this one, but then Batman is more of a serious role.
Right.
Bruce Wayne. And I remember when he got cast as Batman,
There was a lot of controversy. 'Cause
People
it
were-
was like, this guy's a comedian.
yeah, people were pissed.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's not associated with like action, and he's not a big man.
No, but he did fucking awesome as Batman.
Yeah, he was great.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. But let's talk about the plot of this movie, David. What happens in this movie?
Well, right off the bat, we get awesome opening titles and great music by Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
Like the main music for Beetlejuice is fantastic.
of course.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But we get like an overhead shot of like this small town, and we see buildings and barns and churches and all stuff. And I love that. And it slowly turns into a model. And yeah, and we get like a spider that crawls over one of the buildings. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're no longer looking at an actual overhead shot.
Yeah. Usually Tim Burton films open up with a cityscape or a town.
Yeah.
And it's a small town, maybe in like the Northeast.
I looked up. They filmed it in Vermont, and I think they say in the movie that they're in
Takes
Connecticut.
place in Connecticut. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. But very, very northeastern, rural.
Yeah, very rural,
Yeah.
very pretty.
Yeah.
But we got this couple,
Yes.
Adam and Barbara, and they've got this big house, and it's just the two of them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
And it's,
Victorian house, and it's seemingly they just moved there.
Yeah, and it's like a holiday weekend, or I don't even know what's that. They're on vacation.
They're taking 2 weeks off just to spend in the house and work on the house. He's going to
And do
work
some
on his
renovations.
model, and she's going to work on putting some new wallpaper up in the
Wallpaper.
guest room. And they just got plans to relax and spend time together in their house, which they love, and they love it.
And they love each other.
They love each other. And then this twit comes around, knocking on the door. She's
Jane?
like, yeah, Jane. She wants them to sell their house. They got an offer from a couple in New York City who saw a picture of it, and they want to put an offer for like $260,000. I was like, what?
1988. That's a lot of money.
I guess, but nowadays I was like, 260. That's a steal for that house.
Yeah, give me that house.
I'll buy
I'll
it.
take two. I'll take two of them.
So
Later in the movie, Jane says that she's family. Like, so I was trying to figure out like what the relation was there.
I think she just says
like-
that. I think she
Okay,
just says
yeah,
that
she-
because they don't like her. Fucking Adam and
No.
Barbara are like, oh,
No, they like avoid like, oh, you talk to her. No, you
Yeah.
talk to her.
She's just a nosy fucking neighbor, I think.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is. So they need to go down. Adam owns a hardware store in town. And
And he needs a brush, and he needs to get something for the model. So he's
Yep.
like, hey, Barbara, let's go up to the store. You ride with me.
yeah, and she's like, okay. So they drive up to the store, and when they're coming back from the store, a dog runs in front of the car. And to avoid it, Barbara has to turn the wheels, and she goes through this bridge, like this
Like a covered bridge.
covered bridge, and the car is like teetering. And there's one piece
Yeah,
of
just
wood.
the dog is holding it up.
Yep, one piece of wood that's kind of got like a teeter-totter, and the dog is holding it up. The dog jumps off, and the car goes tumbling into the water.
Dog's a fucking murderer.
Yeah,
like,
well,
Fuck you.
David's right, because Barbara and Adam, they don't survive. Now, we don't know that they're dead, and they don't know that they're dead right away, because
Right.
they go back home, and they're still wet.
They're all wet.
And Adam's like, do you remember how we got here?
How did we get home? This
Yep.
is weird.
And he goes to go outside.
Well, at first
And-
they like warm up by a fire, and
Yeah, that's
Barbara, her hand catches on fire, and like, well, that's also weird. But you're right. Adam's like, I'm gonna go retrace my steps and see how did we get back home.
And when he goes outside, all of a sudden he's like in this weird fucking Tim Burton-esque desert,
Like another
world.
dimension. Yeah.
They do call it Saturn. Beetlejuice calls it
Yeah,
Saturn.
later on. Mm-hmm.
But Barbara grabs him from off screen and pulls him back into the house.
This is where we first see the sandworm too. Like when he's out there, like a giant worm comes after him.
Looks just like David's dick,
It looks just like my dick. It's got two mouths. It's very strange.
black and white. It's really weird.
Striped with eyes.
And teeth. Those teeth.
With all those teeth.
I'll never forget those teeth. But yeah, she pulls Adam back in, and he's like, Barbara, that was really weird out there. And she goes, you've been gone for like 3 hours.
Yeah, and he just stepped out, and
Yeah.
now it's nighttime, and
Yep.
he's like, "What the hell is going on here?" And she's like, "Well, while you were gone, I figured some things out.
Yeah.
Let me show you something."
Yep. And she got
And
a
she takes him up to the mirror, and she has like a little toy horse or something and moves it, and like there's no reflection. He's like, "Well, that's fucking weird." He's like, "Yeah, you want to see weird? Also, check out this book that's sitting over here."
and it's the handbook for the recently deceased is the name of
And
the
I
book.
love that line. Like when they first see it, Adam picks it up and he goes, "Handbook for the recently diseased." And she's like, "Deceased." But Danny Elfman's music that plays over that is like kind of triumphant, like music. And when he stops on diseased, like the music kind of stops. And then when she says deceased, he is like, "Oh, deceased." And then the music goes, kind of a fun little reveal.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, so they're dead.
Yeah. And they're like, "Well, okay, I guess we'll read this book and kind of figure out where do we go from here." This is also where we get our first glimpse of Beetlejuice. We don't actually see him. We just see him from behind. I think he's reading a paper.
We hear his
and
voice.
He's talking. Yeah, and he's like, "I got to get a job. Let's see, wanted ads or whatever." And he opens
It goes
up
to the
an
obituaries.
obituary.
Yeah.
He's like, "Ooh, the Maitlands. They look nice and stupid."
Exactly.
And then we cut back to Adam and Barbara.
Adam and Barbara, and more time has passed, and they've see Jane come to the house, and she's like mourning, but she's also sold their house to the Dietzes, and that was the rich New York couple or family, I guess, that Jane was initially telling them about. They must have got a steal on the house now. Question for you.
Yep.
Let's say they had the house paid off. They have no family. The only one is Jane. Who gets the house?
Oh, I don't know.
Because if the house isn't paid off, then I would assume it goes back to the bank, or at least whatever money they owe goes to the bank.
Right.
But
Right.
who
And
gets
then
the
the
rest
bank
of
would
it?
sell like the equity?
Yeah,
I
Jane.
don't know. If there's no next of kin.
Yeah, I guess
Just
maybe
depends
they
on
would
if
have
they
a
had a
will.
will. Yep.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have a will, kids. Have a will to specifically talk about who gets your shit. Like David says I get all of his pinball machines, and you guys heard it here on the podcast that he said I get all of his pinball machines.
All of them.
Yeah, so Adam and Barbara are putzing around in the house, and the Dietzes start moving in, and they're
We
like,
learn that because like Barbara and Adam are trying to figure out like what's going on, and she's like, because they're not super pleased about it, and we learn that the living typically won't see the dead.
Yep.
And like the handbook specifically says the word won't, not can't. It's like they usually just won't.
they just won't see the dead. The Dietzes, we got the dad, who is Charles. That's Jeffrey Jones's character, and he's kind of like this guy who he wants to get away to the country to get away from the city so he can relax. And it's kind of funny where he's still like shaking his knee. He's like, "See, I'm so relaxed already. I've been here for 10 minutes.
Perfectly at ease."
And he keeps like kind of reassuring everybody, like, "No, this is exactly what I want. I want this. I want to live out here."
Dude, it reminded me of you. Like what? You were like moving out of the city.
Oh yeah,
Moving somewhere a little less populated.
Yeah.
East.
Constantly justifying why I'm out here. I'm out here. I'm out here because I like it, guys. I'm really happy. But I'm really happy. Delia is Catherine O'Hara's character. She's the stepmom to Lydia. We never find out what happened to her mother, but Delia is her stepmom. And she is your typical, like, it's like Green Acres. She's like...
Yeah, she's like a yuppie. Like, she's a city girl. And she's an artist. She's very kind of neurotic.
She likens herself to an artist.
Yeah, air quotes, artist.
She's definitely a yuppie. And she's always like, "Oh, I got to have the fanciest, most expensive stuff," right? So she's hired Otho to be her interior decorator.
Yeah.
And Otho is a fucking douche.
He's very pompous.
Yeah. Lydia.
And they go all through the house saying, "Oh, we're gonna paint the house this room this color, this room this color." And while this is all happening, Adam and Barbara are trying to scare them. They're like, "Hey, we're ghosts now. We should scare these people off." So like, Barbara hangs herself in the closet and like
They don't
tears
see her.
off her own face. Like they don't even see it. And then Barbara cuts off Adam's head, and they walk into a room, and she's just holding his head and
With
with
a
a bloody
knife.
knife in her hand. Nothing. I
Nothing.
thought that was kind of funny. They're like, "Well, fuck."
Definitely. Lydia's walking around, and that's Winona Ryder's character, and she's like goth.
Yeah.
She's like very like dressed in black all the time with like veils over
She's
her
like a
head.
veil. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm death. You know, she's just fucking whatever she is. She's a typical teenager, I guess.
Yeah, and she's kind of looking around and taking pictures and stuff, and she sees them like in the window, and she's like, "What the hell?"
From outside, she sees them up in the window, and she's like, what's going on? So she tries to go up into the attic, and the attic door is locked. But
Yeah,
Jane,
and Gina Davis recognizes it. She's like, "That girl saw us."
yeah, Jane gives Lydia a skeleton key that can open any of the doors. So Lydia takes that up to the attic, and she tries to open it, but it doesn't open. It doesn't open. But meanwhile,
Yeah, Adam like pushes the key out with like
Yep.
a rod or something.
Meanwhile, Adam has been reading the handbook, and he says it reads like stereo instructions, like he can't understand it. But he's reading the handbook, and it says, if you need any help, draw a door. So
Yeah.
he draws a door, and they have to knock on it 3 times, and they do, and it opens up.
Yeah, and right before they do this, he also, and he's going through the book, an ad falls out of it, and it's an advertisement for Beetlejuice. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden on his TV, a commercial comes on for Beetlejuice. Like kind of saying like, "Hey, you got problems with people, living
wanna
in your
get rid
house?
of
You want them
people?
gone? Yeah, I can help. Just say my name 3 times." And his little, he does like a little song and a dance.
Yeah, he's dressed
I
up
love
like a
that part.
cowboy.
Yeah, and he goes, "I'll eat anything you want me to eat. I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow."
He also doesn't say his name is Beetlejuice. They don't know his name is. They say Beetle Guys because it's spelled like the
Yeah, because it just
star.
says that on the and it says that on the advertisement.
So they don't even remember his name. He's a bioexorcist, is what he fancies himself.
Yeah,
So they go into this door, and they find themselves in a waiting room. And there's various different dead people there. There's a guy who choked on a chicken bone. There's a
he ate
magician.
that thing whole, man. He got like a whole chicken bone in his throat.
There's a magician's assistant who was cut in half.
There's a guy with a shark attached to his leg.
There's a guy with a shark attached to his leg. There's a dude with a shrunken head, like a hunter who's got a shrunken
There's
head.
a dude that burned himself or he must have gone to bed with a cigarette,
Yep.
torched
Yep.
himself.
And he offers Adam a cigarette. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to cut back myself." As he's smoking, but he's also like ash. And then there's a woman behind the counter who is working there, like
She's
a receptionist.
Miss Argentina or something.
Yep. And she killed herself. She slit her
Yeah.
wrists. So we get all these like cool special effects, like makeup effects, practical effects of these people that are dead. And then there's Adam and Barbara, and they're like, "Well, we need to talk to our caseworker." And Miss Argentina says like, "Well, do you have an appointment?" "No." "Well, you're gonna have to wait in line." And they're serving like 9,430,000, whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, their caseworker does see them, and that's Juno.
And this is 3 months later. Like that's
Yeah,
how long they waited.
They've been in the waiting room for 3 months, but it feels like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But they get escorted to Juno's room by a guy who got run over by a car, and he's like flat, and he's just like hanging and being
transported by cables.
Yeah, I should tell this story. Back in the 88, there was a show on TV called Don't Just Sit There. It was on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a kids talk show. So it was hosted by kids. They had a band that was made of kids, like 13-year-old kids. And I was like 12 years old at this time, so I would
So you were
watch
all
this
about
show.
it?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
watch this show. And they had the puppets or whatever from
from Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice. There, they had the guy who was run over, they had the cigarette guy, and they had the shrunken head guy, I think,
Oh, that's awesome.
on the show, and they were looking
That's
at him
cool.
and they were like all making like jokes and shit like that. So yeah, I had seen all of these guys before I even saw the movie, I think, and I was like, wow, that's fucking awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. This is probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, this whole waiting room scene and going to visit Juno, because as I was watching it recently, I was like, this is Tim Burton's Star Wars Cantina.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of like looking into Tim Burton's brain. Like,
Yep.
is this what it looks like in there? Like the way like everything is slanty.
Yes.
There's like checkerboard floors, the way the characters look, all the colors.
Yes.
It's very Tim Burton.
And the people that are dead are also like different shades of, they're not skin color dead people, you know? They're just like, some are green, some are blue.
Yeah.
They're not like, it doesn't look real per
no,
se.
the makeup is really cool. It's
Yeah.
just fun.
It is. A lot of smoking in this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
I
there
noticed
is.
that. Anyway, so yes, they meet up with Juno, and Juno's like, listen, you guys got to figure out, you guys got to deal with these Dietzes on your own. You got to scare them. And she's
Yeah,
like,
you're ghosts. Figure it out.
and everybody keeps asking them, did you read the handbook? And they're like, no, we haven't read the handbook. Well, you got to read the handbook. There's a chapter in there.
It's all
on
in there.
haunting.
And then Adam brings up, he's like, well, what about that Beetle guy? And she's like, whoa, 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 don't even say his name. Like, you don't want to deal with that guy.
No.
And she kind of gives him a little story about him and like how he's bad news.
And he was
But not
her
before telling, but not before telling them how to summon him.
Yeah, that's true. He was her assistant, Juno's assistant, for a while, and then he went out on his own because he was just kind of causing too much chaos.
Yeah, so he went freelance.
Yep. And he likes to do things a little bit differently. So,
Yeah, he's a little rougher.
yep. So they go and they're trying to scare the Dietzes, and they put sheets on. Like fucking Charlie Brown, and they go around they go around trying to scare him. Well, Charles doesn't get scared. He thinks it's Lydia, and he's like, you better hope that your mother doesn't
Yeah,
see that.
She's gonna be pissed when you sees that you cut holes in her expensive sheets.
They go to try to scare Delia, who is knocked out on Valium.
Yeah, and I like she sits up and turns the TV remote button because I think she thinks that the TV's on. And
Yes.
then just passes back out.
They're
And then Lydia's laying there in bed and she can hear the woo, ah, and she thinks her parents are having sex. She's like, oh my God, so disgusting.
So she goes and takes pictures of them as they're walking through the hall, and she thinks it's Charles and Delia, and she's like, you guys
Yeah,
are
and so
into
you
some-"
want to do that kinky sex shit, do it on your own time.
Yeah.
Fucking perverts.
She picks up one of the Polaroids, and she sees that there's no feet. And
It's
so she's
what
like,
the fuck?
oh shit, you guys are the dead people who I saw in the attic. Because,
Yeah, she's like, who are you? Who are you? And he goes, we're ghosts. And I think she's like, are you gross under there?
Are
Are you Night of the Living Dead under there?
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, Night of the Living what? But while they were stuck in limbo for 3 weeks or whatever, or 3 months,
3 months.
Lydia found their book, the handbook for the recently deceased, and she read it. So she knows what's going on. And she says to them, like, oh, I read your handbook. And they're like, you can see us? You can see us, like,
Yeah, she's like, "Of
actual
course."
us? And she's like, yeah. And she has this line where she's like, the handbook said something. Oh, what does she say? She says something like,
yeah.
I myself
Strange and unusual.
am a little strange and unusual. Like she wants them to, like, applaud her. Because she's like, huh? I'm
Yeah, she
strange
does say
and
it kinda like that.
Unusual.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Yes. So Lydia sees them. She has these pictures, and she goes to Delia, and she's like, hey, Delia, I have these pictures of these ghosts. And she's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm having
they
a
want
dinner.
us to leave. And she's like,
Yeah.
nope.
She's like, I'm having a dinner party.
Yeah, fuck off.
Fuck off.
So Adam and Barbara are like, all right, well, fuck this shit. We're going to have to, let's go to this Beetle guy and try to figure this out. So they say his name 3 times, and then they enter. They're basically now in the model that Adam has been working on.
Yeah, because that's where
we
Beetlejuice
see,
is,
like-
like, stuck.
Yeah.
He, like, lives in it.
In their cemetery, I guess.
Yeah, so they have to
'Cause
dig
Juno
up.
even says that he's been sleazing around your cemetery lately.
Yep. so they have to dig him up out of the cemetery, and that's where you get the sign, like the sign you have that says Beetlejuice, and it's got the arrow
down.
and it's got his tombstone that like lights up. And so Adam starts digging, and it is kind of a cool scene too, because the grass is like that rubber grass that he has.
Yeah, it's fake. Yep.
For the model,
and then the dirt is corkboard.
Yep. So they dig up through all of that, and they finally get to his grave, and this is where we get the Beetlejuice reveal, and he comes flying up, and he's just flying there, and he's just, hanging in the middle of the air. He's like, hey, here I am.
Hey.
And he starts making out with Barbara.
yeah, trying to kiss her, like looking up her skirt. Like, he's just perving.
Yeah, and they're like, we got to get out of here. And he's like, no, I'll help you. We're simpatico, we're amigos. And he's got he's like, his clothes changed to what Adam's wearing, and he's like, we even shop at the same place. We can talk about,
like, he's like, hey, come on in. He like kind of like waddles up to his little grave, and he's like, oh, I haven't had time to fix up the place. I hope you guys are okay. He's like, I hope you like spaghetti.
We can talk
like,
about
fuck this, we're out of here.
Beetlejuice's look here for a second. He's Michael Keaton, but he's kind of this paunchy guy who's got white skin with black circles under his eye and green hair.
And his hair's kind of green and gross.
And he's disgusting. Like, he's always like hawking up loogies, and he's like, oh, I'll save that for later. And I don't know. He's just a gross looking dude. His skin's all fucked up. I don't know.
He's very dead.
He's very dead and very disgusting. But it's almost like...
But he makes a little sales pitch, and they're not feeling it. They're like, no.
And it's almost like Beetlejuice likes the dead and doesn't like the living, so he wants to, like, cause havoc for the living.
Yeah, exactly.
So he makes a sales pitch, and then Barbara's like, I don't like this. So she says, home, home, home. And they get out of there immediately. Yeah. And he's like, where'd you go?
Yeah, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, you're dealing with a professional here.
So at the dinner, Barbara's like, I got an idea. We can scare them. So at the dinner party, Lydia starts telling everybody about how she saw ghosts. And Delia's like, no, don't bring that up. But Otho is really into this.
He's intrigued.
And he's like, tell us more about these ghosts. And Delia's like, I don't want to talk about the ghosts. What I really want to talk about, and she pauses. And then all of a sudden, the song Deo by Harry Belafonte starts playing. And she starts lip syncing to it. And everybody's
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing? And she's like, she just doesn't stop. And she starts dancing. And then Charles starts dancing with her.
And it's all like uncontrollable. Like they're like, what the hell's going on? Like they're possessed almost.
Yep.
And then everybody starts singing and dancing.
Everybody starts singing and dancing, and they just are getting possessed, basically. And then at the very end, we get kind of like a jump scare. The shrimp that they were eating, like, grow arms.
Pops up like,
a big hand and pulls their
like
face.
Hands.
Yep. And then cut to Adam and Barbara, and they're like, we did it. We scared them.
We did it. Yeah, they're looking out the window. They're like, oh, they're going to...
Any
second now, they're going to come out of the house screaming and get in their cars and drive away.
No. Lydia comes upstairs.
Yeah, she just knocks on the door like, hey, they want to talk to you. You can wear whatever sheets you want.
Yep. They're really happy. They think it's great. And Otho and Dick Cavett and Dick Cavett's wife, they're just like, why didn't you tell us about this? I didn't even know I could calypso. And, they're just fucking pretentious fucks. And,
and Delia's acting like she's known all along. Like, oh, we were wanting to be careful with who we tell.
Everybody would want to invite them to their parties, Yeah.
So they immediately start thinking about how can we make money off of this?
Exactly. And, the Adam and Barbara are like, no, we're not going down. They're like all pissed off.
Yeah.
Do they call?
And because
go ahead.
Well, because they won't go down, the Dick Cavett character is like, fuck this, like, we're out of here. Delia, you're a flake. And I think he somehow thinks that they made all this up, but it's like, dude, you were there, you saw it, you were dancing and everything.
Yeah. So everybody
like,
leaves.
No, I'm out. Yeah.
So Otho is the only one left, and he goes up with Delia to the and Charles to the attic. And
because now they're pissed.
Yep. And they're like, where are you, dead people? You come out of that attic. So the door opens and they get up there, but Adam and Barbara are gone.
Yeah. I like that when they're going up the stairs, Delia says something to Lydia. She's like, Lydia, this is a lesson for you. Like, if you don't assert yourself in all situations, people, whether dead or alive, will be walking all over you.
Yes. While they're up there, Otho swipes the handbook for the recently deceased.
Yep.
And he goes downstairs. And
while he's going downstairs, Beetlejuice takes it upon himself to try to do a little work on his own and turns the handrail or whatever, the stairs, into a snake. And he turns into a snake and kind of torments them. And he tells Charles, like, we've come for your daughter, Chuck, and fucks with Otho and everything.
Yeah, and he throws Otho down the stairs, and he throws Charles off the balcony. And
Barbara bursts in and sees it. She's like, oh, shit. And Beetlejuice makes him go away.
Yep. And Lydia's like, you guys are assholes, because she thinks it's them.
Yeah, why are you doing this?
And she runs away. Cut to later, and we got Charles, who's like, I'm going to buy this whole city. And he calls his boss, and he's like, we should just invest in the whole city, and we can just buy the whole thing, because people will come here from New York to stay. And his boss, who is Robert Goulet.
Robert Goulet.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, whatever, Charles, I got to go. Lydia is like writing her suicide note.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be alive anymore.
No, she wants to be dead like Barbara and Adam. Oh, and Delia and Otho are like going to try to conjure. They want to try to conjure the spirits up. And Otho's like, I know just as much about... what does he say? He says something like, I know just as much about the afterlife as I know about interior decorating. And it's like, you can see
now.
Yeah, but you can see his interior decorating abilities are like not that great. Yeah. Because that house is all fucked up looking. Otho's like, we're going to have a seance. And this is when...
because now Robert Goulet is there.
Yeah, because they're like, we have ghosts. And Robert Goulet's like, all right, I'll come out.
When Barbara and Adam, they talk to Lydia about her suicide or whatever. And they're like, no. You don't want to be dead. Dead isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
And in fact, we've been doing a lot of thinking. We'd love it if your family stayed here and we could all just live together.
Yep. But they also make it known that they don't want to be like trained monkeys.
Pets.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So Lydia tries to tell Otho and Delia this, and they're like having none of it. But Otho's like, I'll make them come down, because I've been reading this handbook of the recently deceased. And Lydia's like, how dare you? And then she's like, Otho, you can't even fucking change a tire. You're not going to be able to,
you're not going to be able to do anything.
Conjure up spirits. And he's like, well, I'll do it. So Goulet's there. Everybody's there, and they start having this fucking seance. And they, sure as shit, they bring Barbara and Adam out of hiding, and because they have their like wedding outfits.
Yeah, their wedding clothes.
And their spirits enter the clothes, and then like immediately, like Gina Davis, Barbara, she starts aging.
Yeah, like decaying.
Yep.
And they're like, something's going wrong. And Lydia's like, stop it. And Otho's even like, oh shit, I don't know how.
Yep.
Sorry.
And then Adam enters his. Well, Lydia goes up to Beetlejuice, and she's like, can you help him? Beetlejuice says, I can help him.
He's in the model.
Yep. Yeah. He's like, I can help him, but you scratch my back, I scratch yours. If I help them, I need to get married, because the only way I'm going to get out of here permanently is if I get married.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I don't make up the rules.
Yep.
He's like, how old are you? Are you of age? He's like, you know what? Second thought, don't answer that.
Yep. So
she's like, yeah, whatever I need to do.
Yep. He agrees to help, and so he goes out there, and he starts having this wedding ceremony with Lydia. Did we pass over the
first thing he does as soon as it comes out? He gets rid of Robert Goulet. Like he cleans house a little bit first before the wedding.
But did we pass over the part where Lydia first met Beetlejuice?
Yeah. Yeah, when he does the charades.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I can't tell you my name.
She's like, Beetle Orange, Beetle Breakfast, Beetle...
Yeah, because he's showing like a jug or a carton of Minute Maid.
Yeah.
Did you remember when Minute Maid looked like that?
Yeah.
That logo? I was like, oh man, that takes me back.
Yeah.
That's a Minute Maid.
I love orange juice. It's the best.
Oh, that's so good.
Anyway, so yes, he takes Robert Goulet and his wife, and he like shoots them out of the house. Like
yeah, that's when he's like, attention Kmart shoppers. Yeah, he's got like almost like in a carnival when you smack the
hammer.
hit the thing with the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he launches
the
them out
test of strength.
right
I
out of the
guess.
house.
Yeah, right out of the house.
Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah.
He killed them for sure. And then like he sees Otho and he's like, "Where are you going, round boy?" And like he like shoots like a little air gun at him with his fingers and like transforms his outfit that he's wearing into like a hideous leisure suit. And Otho's like, "Oh, oh shit."
He starts preparing for the wedding, and this little guy comes out and he starts marrying them, and he's going through the whole thing. Does anybody, whatever, and it's that and the other thing, and he grabs and Beetlejuice has to grab a ring, and he's like, "Oh, I know it's in here somewhere." And he's like looking around, and he finally finds a finger, and he's like, "She meant nothing to me, baby.
She meant nothing to me."
So he grabs the ring.
Dude,
but
I was Beetlejuice for Halloween one year.
Yeah.
And this was the version that I was the wedding
Oh, nice.
version. So I had like a red tuxedo and a little puffy shirt and everything.
Nice.
It was pretty fun.
But the Maitlands, they start saving her because they get out of their thing, and then Gina Davis is like starts saying Beetlejuice, and then he puts like a zipper over her mouth, and she unzips it,
And she unzips it.
and she says Beetlejuice,
Beetlejuice.
and then he like throws and puts
Like
a metal,
metal plate over her mouth so she
Yep.
can't say it a third time.
But Beetlejuice sends her out to Saturn, to where
Yeah.
to where the sandworm is, and then what happens to Adam? Adam goes.
Adam gets sent. Adam's in the model.
Oh yeah, he's in the model. So he gets on a little toy car, and he's driving it towards, because he's trying to disrupt this wedding ceremony, because they don't want Beetlejuice obviously to marry Lydia, and so he crashes into Beetlejuice's foot. And right when he does that, then all of a sudden through the roof, Gina Davis comes riding the sandworm.
Yeah, I don't know quite how that happened. I was like, what?
I know. I was watching it recently too, and I'm like, this just kind of really.
I never really.
The end just
Yeah,
really
I never really
just
thought about that as a kid. But
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? How?
the end just really like happens really quick,
Yeah.
because then all of a sudden the sandworm eats Beetlejuice and everything's fine.
Yeah, Beetlejuice is dead.
Yep. And then it's like months later, and Adam and Barbara are living in their house with the Dietzes, and Winona Ryder comes home from school, and she got a good grade on her math test that Adam and Barbara were helping her with. It's like they're helping raise her.
Yeah.
And she starts singing Shake Sonora.
Yeah, so like a reward for her doing good on her test. She's like, you promised me that if I did good,
Yep.
you would you do a little something for me. It's
Yep.
like, yeah,
And
all right.
It's just like a lip sync thing, kind of like what they did.
Kind of like the Deo scene, but yeah, with Shake Sonora.
Yep. And then we got Delia and Charles upstairs, and Charles is reading like another handbook. And he's like, this does read like stereo instructions.
And it's like a handbook for living people dealing with the dead. It's like
Yes.
in reverse.
Yep. And then Delia has made a sculpture of Beetlejuice's head, and
Yeah, and
scares the
he's like,
shit out of
fuck.
Charles. And then that's like the end of the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we get like a kind of an epilogue with Beetlejuice. Now he's in the waiting room
Yep.
to see his caseworker or whatever, and he like gets a number, and it's like number 50 billion or whatever. And he's like, fuck. And he looks over at the next guy, and it
It's
looks like
the-
he's the next person.
And it's the headhunter.
Yeah, and he's like, hey buddy. He's like, oh, is that Elvis over there? Like quickly switches their numbers.
Yep.
Oh, and he's like, oh, looks like I'm next.
I got a photo shoot with GQ later on. And then the headhunter shrinks his head.
Yeah, sprinkles a little pixie dust or something on his
Yeah,
head.
and he's like, oh, maybe this is a good look for me.
Yep. And that's it.
And that's it. That's the end. Like I said, the end happens really quick.
Yeah.
I never, even as a kid, like that point, like I like the end, but there's like right when they start doing the whole like I guess the climax of the movie, I always thought that just clips along. That just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, well, it's not really a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
It just ends. But whatever. How do you rate this movie?
This is hard.
Do you want me to rate it first?
Yeah, you go first, but I think I know where I'm going.
Okay. I'm going to give it 4 Pamela Voorhees Heads. Okay. I'm not going to give it 5 or even higher than 4.5. I'll give it 4. And I think part of the reason is that ending, it just happens too quick. The other thing, too, is that Michael Keaton and Beetlejuice makes this film. And there's not enough.
He's barely in it.
There's not enough of him, and I want to see more of him. The movie's funny and it looks fantastic. I just need more Beetlejuice, and I love the practical effects that they use. Like I said, that whole waiting room scene was my favorite. So 4.
Yep. Yeah, we're pretty close. I'm gonna go 4.5. I was thinking 5 originally, but I agree. It doesn't quite stick the landing. The ending is a little bit rushed. And I agree there's not enough Beetlejuice, but I also kind of like that. He doesn't ever outwear his welcome.
Yeah.
He kind of leaves you wanting more. And I agree, like the art direction in this movie, everything looks like very imaginative and fantastic. Like even the stuff that looks fake in the most delightful and charming way, in a way that like movies just don't look like that anymore. Like some of the stop motion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really cool. And then I think Danny Elfman's score is terrific. It's awesome.
And at this
almost
point,
like a character unto itself.
Yeah, and at this point, this was only Tim Burton's second major motion picture. He did Pee-wee's Big Adventure in '85 and then Beetlejuice in '88. So this was kind of like his first like real, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure was a good movie, but that was a Pee-wee Herman movie. This is more of like a Tim Burton movie, and led the way to stuff like Edward Scissorhands and Mars Attacks and things of that nature.
Yep.
So 4.25, that's pretty good. They're finally
I know, gonna do the sequel.
going to do a sequel. And Tim Burton has said, so 30 years later, so if not more, more than 30 years later.
Yeah, more than
Jesus
30.
Christ.
Yeah.
35 years later at this point when it finally gets released next year, I believe. Tim Burton has said that if Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton decided they would come back, he would do it. And Michael Keaton decided to come back, and Winona Ryder said she would do it. And rumor has it that Johnny Depp's going to be in it. That just started.
Oh, interesting.
That just started.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Huh. After that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial was going on, and he's kind of been, quote unquote, vindicated. People aren't afraid to hire him because they're like, listen, movie studios are going to go whichever the way the wind blows. And
exactly.
if the wind's
it's
blowing,
all about the dollar.
Exactly. If the wind blows in Johnny Depp's favor, he's going to get hired
Principles don't really matter. It's the dollar.
Exactly. So, I mean, he was found not guilty, I guess, of whatever the fuck it was.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that I just heard. So it will be interesting to see what they do. Because listen, I like Johnny Depp as an actor, and I like him in Tim Burton films, so that would be welcome. I like Beetlejuice, and I would love to see Michael Keaton back in the role after so many years. And it would be interesting, and I like Winona Ryder too. She's back in the public eye because of Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, right?
And she does such a good job in that show that I think the time is right to do it. Now, they were gonna do a sequel years ago.
Yes,
called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian,
which sounds so cheesy and tacky that it might have just worked.
Yeah. Kevin Smith talks about it because I believe he was offered the chance to write the script. Or rewrite the script. He met with Warner Brothers, and they said, we like your movies. You have your choice. You can either do this one or Superman. And he's like, well, I'm going to choose Superman over Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
They're like, we're going to fuck you out of that too.
Funny thing is that those were both Tim Burton things.
That's right. I remember when Tim Burton was attached to that with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. And there's some footage that just came out not that long ago of Nicolas Cage trying on the suit.
I saw some of that in the suit. Yep.
Really weird.
Interesting.
Really weird.
Very weird. I'm excited for the sequel, though. I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah. Tim Burton hasn't done anything since Dumbo, which I
and
didn't
Tim Burton,
see.
He's become hit or miss, mostly miss for me. But his early stuff, I mean, from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns,
Ed Wood.
Nightmare Before Christmas, all of those are awesome.
Well, here's the thing. Nightmare Before Christmas, he didn't direct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he wrote
But
the
it's still
story.
like, when you look at the movie, though, like this looks like Tim Burton's brain.
Yeah, he did the artwork. But
Yeah.
and he produced the movie. So, I mean, essentially he made the movie. But you were hitting everything. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Ed Wood, Mars Attacks,
Yeah, all of those movies are great. Mars Attacks, it's all right.
Sleepy Hollow,
Love it.
Planet of the Apes.
Eh,
My problem with Planet of the Apes is I really love the original so much that when they remade it, I was like, why?
when Planet of the Apes came out, I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, I like this movie. And then it came out on DVD or whatever at the time and I bought it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this movie's not very good.
Big Fish, which
That movie's
I
fantastic.
love Big Fish. And a
That
lot
movie
of
gets me in the feels every time.
Tim Burton fans, like hardcore Tim Burton fans, don't really like Big Fish.
Get the hell out of here. The movie's terrific.
I love it. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's all right.
It's all right.
Corpse Bride, it's okay.
I like Corpse Bride.
Sweeney Todd, I liked Sweeney Todd.
Yep. Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland,
It's okay. My wife really likes that one. I thought it was all right.
Dark Shadows,
That movie sucked.
Frank and Weenie.
Liked it.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the new one. I saw the original one that he did, the short film.
Yeah, it was good.
Big Eyes, never saw. Miss Penegree's
okay.
Home for Peculiar Children, never saw.
I haven't seen that one.
And Dumbo, didn't see that.
I haven't seen it.
But, I mean, that's a good...
Yeah, actually, now hearing you say all of them, I definitely like more than I don't.
Yeah. But
yeah, Beetlejuice 2, bring it on.
Beetlejuice 2, yeah. We should... whenever that comes out, we'll review that one.
Yeah, definitely.
So 4.25. Oh, I should also mention, too, did you watch the cartoon?
A little bit. I remember it. I think I was a little old by then.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite the target demographic.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it a couple of times and thinking it was okay.
Yeah, I liked the cartoon. And then, did they have a video game?
There was a Nintendo game. I don't remember it well, though, so it probably sucked.
Probably. But Beetlejuice was a big deal. It was a big deal commercially. So, I don't know. If you have any thoughts on Beetlejuice or anything else, why don't you contact us? How can they contact us, David?
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, the Slasher app, TikTok. Just search the Swearwolves on all those platforms. On Instagram, we are the Swearwolves Podcast. We have our website, theswearwolves.com. You can email us at swearwolvespodcast@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 623-282-1851.
So for the Swearwolves this week, I'm Brett.
I'm David.
And David has a sandworm dick.
Yes.